One of the things I saw you posting about is knowing where your food comes from. And I feel like that is truly lacking. We see things in boxes already super processed.
Yeah.
We see things, just prepared in a little bit of plastic already, and we don't even know how it got there. We don't even know what the animal even looks like sometimes. I mean, you talk to some people, they don't know what veal actually is, right? And
Yeah.
they don't know, and they're quite limited also. They maybe only eat some chicken and then very few things and complain about their diet.
Yeah.
How do we get back to that idea of actually do we need better relationships with butchers? Do we need to do our kind of research a little bit more and get away from the pre-packaged foods and processed foods? What's your advice there?
We could talk for the next 10 hours about all the layers of the onion that this conversation brings up.
Right.
And I think you and I both share the belief that we are as disconnected as we've ever been as a species from our source of nourishment, right?
Totally.
And so I do think that the act of cooking is an opportunity to connect ourselves with not just that source, right? But ourselves, right? And of course, the planet and each other, right? Because when you walk into a Walmart or a Target and, you're getting your groceries there, or for so many people that literally only have a gas station to get their fresh food from, that's a very disconnected existence, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yes, I think we have an opportunity to kind of not just reframe, but reclaim what once was so inherent to all of us, right? That we didn't have to think about these things. And I think right now is a symptom of all this kind of confusion and overthinking because of that disconnect, right? So many of us are not growing up in families anymore where mom or dad or grandma or grandpa were either growing the animal or, growing the produce or tending to the bees or foraging or hunting and all that, right? So right now, I think is just a very awkward time for so many of us to be sifting through the noise of, well, what am I even supposed to be eating? What's morally sound to be eating, right? Which that is a whole other conversation, because we don't grow up just knowing, right? Now, to me, although that sounds kind of daunting, right, to kind of tackle, it's so exciting because on the other end of that is the most incredible food that we can be eating, the most connected experiences with our own kids or our neighbors. I described it, my own personal life, like we're here in Portugal, all of my friends that I have here now in this new place are because of the food that I've seeked out, because wherever we are in the world, wherever we've lived, my wife and I, it's like you hit the ground and the first thing is, where am I getting my food, right? And where I'm getting my food leads to my people, and my community and my kind of village and tribe, right? And now I know that's deeply seated in my own personal passion, but what would our world like if we all treated our food that way, right? How connected will our neighborhoods be, our communities, right? And how different could they look? What would health look like if that was our approach? So I don't even know where we started. I guess, the conversation of connecting. And now that brings up a lot of kind of harder work to do now, right? Because I think there's power in looking the animal in its eyes, right? And at least taking a whole chicken home, taking a whole fish home, right? Visiting farms where those animals are still alive, knowing that you're going to be sourcing. I just had a really powerful meeting with a guy last week where he just became, by kind of not by choice, he keeps goats and lamb, right? Because his land burned down a couple of years ago, and he's like, oh, I heard if I get goats, they'll eat the brush, right? Mm-hmm. And I heard that lamb was going to be available. I met him in the parking lot, and I got a few legs, and I took that animal home. And let me tell you, the energy that holds, where I met the only other person in the world, the only person that took care of that animal, he's handing it to me. I have a newfound sense of responsibility. I have a newfound sense of connection. I have his phone number, and he's going to let me know when more is available. And to me, this is living really human, you know. At least this is me supporting a world that I believe in, that I see as really beautiful. So I don't know. I feel like that was kind of a distracted roundabout answer to the connection piece, but there's just so much of this, and I want it to come across as opportunity. And you know,
no, you did an amazing job there, because it reminds me. Listen, I grew up with European parents from Poland, and what they knew as life was, you know, my grandmother, the babcia, would go out every single day and go out to different places, go to the butcher, go get the bread, go and cook and prepare. And they'd help out because they had to, because babcia wouldn't have them sitting around while she cooked, right? And it would be fresh stuff every day. My father was even telling me, you know, where he grew up, it was kind of the ghetto of Warsaw. They didn't have refrigerators. You literally had to buy the food and use it right there. There was no storage. There were no leftovers or anything. You would use everything. And you'd cook it all, and it would all be super fresh. And this would happen every single day. I think we've gotten a little bit spoiled, some in a good way. I mean, there's, you know, but that idea, and then even growing up and having my parents do that with me. And like you said, I remember bringing home a whole fish and having it flop around in the sink with water until it was time to cook. And that would be an educational lesson of, you know, how to scale a fish. We don't realize that there is work to be done, that, you know, we don't just buy fish filleted and everything like that without lots of work in the background.